You're listening to the Holy Joe Rock and Roll Show. It's not just rock and roll, it's Holy Joe Rock and Roll. You're listening to the Holy Joe Rock and Roll Show. It's not just rock and roll, it's Holy Joe Rock and Roll. You're listening to the Holy Joe Rock and Roll Show. It's not just rock.
What up, everybody? It's Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Coming at you live and unscripted. This is Monday, February the 12th. Totally live, totally unscripted. And I just wanted to, this is now the first time I'm dual broadcasting on YouTube and Twitter. Apparently, I'm not sure for sure because I got some error messages, but I'm trying to be on Periscope at the same time. And I'm trying to see if I can see myself on Periscope. I can't. That's another story. If somebody can see me on Periscope, at Holy Joe Rock is my handle. I would just love to know. Let's just quick here check this. What is this? Periscope. Active broadcast. I should be going live. Am I not going? Am I not live? I don't know. Anyway, apparently I am live. Right? Am I live?
Yes, you're live.
Okay. So what I want to talk about right now, today, is the turnaround in the stock market. Now, every time there's a dip in the stock market, going back probably 100 years, I don't know, I'm not that old, but going back as far as I can remember, there's always somebody coming out there talking about the end is nigh, prepare yourselves accordingly. Now, if I had listened to these people like the doom, boom, and gloom guy, this Mark Faber, people like Peter Schiff, who said gold was going to go to $5,000. It had to go. You know, probably, what was that, 10 years ago he said that, under the Obama administration. It never happened. Oh yeah, I am live, baby. I can see myself on Twitter. Periscope, baby, right there. How cool is that, man? It's simultaneous, baby. I had a girlfriend who liked it simultaneous too. She would wait for me. Okay, that's for the adults in the audience who get that, all right? But seriously, folks, I'm simultaneously excited because the stock market today turned right around. Now, last week, arguably, you could say based on the numbers, based on science, was the worst week in 2 years, according to the numbers, right? The numbers, meaning that the Dow Jones Industrial Average did close down around over 1,000. I think it was down 2,000 points for the week, going from around almost 27,000 down to around 24,000 something. So 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe it was down 3,000 at the peaks, peak to trough, but it didn't close that big. But anyways, it was down significantly based on big numbers, right? But that's, what is that? 4, 5, 6% of 26,000 of the peak. Now compare that to the 800-point crash. What was that? Was that 1987? The October surprise? That was an 800-point crash when the market was worth, I don't know, 5,000, 6,000. It was huge. That was like a 12% drop in one day. The flash crash. I don't even remember when that was. That was before I started buying stocks. But soon after, I started nibbling. And I just want to say, look, it's not a panacea for everybody, but look, if you got $10 that you can put aside, you should put aside $10 a month. And invest, if you only got $10 a month, you probably have to go with a mutual fund. Find one that's low cost and just start slow, baby. When you see that first statement with the dividends, you're getting paid a dividend. Your money is making money. Now, They say that money should not make money. That is taking the sterile and making it fertile in a way, because you're making money from money, but you are investing in companies that are using your money to build a business and to sell products. So it's not exactly usury. It's not like you're lending your money. You're not lending your money for interest payments. That's usury. You're investing in a company, buying its stock, which then it uses to invest in its employees, invest in plant and materials, plant and whatever. That's what it's supposed to do. It can also use that money to pay dividends, right? So basically that's kind of a Ponzi scheme if they're doing that. But you are investing, you own a piece of the company. You got to be in it to win it, people. You want a piece of the action. And that's what you got to do if you want to ever make money. You know, I'm not saying put all of your money in the stock market. In fact, I'm saying don't put all your money in the stock market. It really should be, as it traditionally has always been, risk capital, money that you can afford to lose. Now, that typically used to be 10%. Let's say 10% of your take-home pay you would consider risk capital. You can afford to lose 10%. It's not going to affect your lifestyle, and you invest that, okay? I'm not telling you how to invest right now. I'm just saying, especially for the young people out there, you have 30, 40, 50 years to invest, and you have the time. So it's not a lot of money for you to put 10% into an account every month and let that grow, and then reinvest the dividends. You know, you're reinvesting the dividends. So you're making money from money, which Deepak Chopra said you shouldn't do, which is the antithetical. It's the opposite of investing. That's what investment's all about. You try to play with the house's money, ultimately, that you make so much money that you can take out what you put in and just play with the house's money. That's the ultimate deal. And on some investments, I lost everything. But on some investments, I'm totally playing with the house's money. And net, over the last, I guess you would have to say, almost 20 years, 25 years, maybe 30 years. I can't even remember, man. I think they're, oh wait, it has to be, it's more than that. It's longer than that. It's, hang on. I started buying my first, actually bought my first stock before I bought my first house. So it was probably 1992 or 1993. So 93, 2003, 2013. So 25 years. So certainly I have some investments I've lost money. Some companies have gone out of business. But I've had 25 years to invest. And over that time, the winners have just outpaced anything else. And that's when it's really exciting, when you have a winner that just outperforms everything, just grows and grows and grows, pays dividends along the way, starts spitting out companies. It's just fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's just amazing. It motivates you and it gives you hope. Now, one way to do this is to diversify, right? Not put all your eggs, first of all, not put all of your money in the stock market. That's number one. Number two, diversify, meaning don't put all of your money into one security. Like, don't put all your money in Apple. Don't put all your money in Amazon.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. Thank you. But, you want to diversify. So you want to have in different sectors, right? Maybe a little bit in the energy sector. Maybe a little bit in the sin sector, which could be tobacco, could be alcohol. Maybe a little bit in, did I say oil? Oil sector. Maybe some in technology. Maybe some in financial. So you're spreading the risks, because some of these things go up when others go down. Right now, a rising tide will lift all boats, so everything will go up. But some of these sectors are cyclical, right? And there's no way for you to really know it. There's really no way for you to plan it. You just have to do the best you can. And by being diversified, that's what Jim Cramer calls the only free lunch, right? Because you're diversified. Some things are going to go up, some things are going to go down. If you can sort of if you can sort of see what's coming, you may be able to anticipate changes in the market and then rotate out of stuff. But look, if you're a small investor and you got another job, you're doing something else. Investing is not your full-time job, which is not my full-time job. It's just something that I do on the side, and it's been it's been a win. So what I'm trying to say is, like, everybody's talking about the market's going to collapse, sky is falling over this last week, and then you see the recovery. So did you buy the dip? Did you buy the dip? Because buying the dip has always been a winning strategy. I bought the dip. Okay, I'd saved up some cash, and I was able to buy the dip, and everything that I bought is up. Think about it. This crash that happened, because what really was the catalyst for it? There was a change in the Federal Reserve head of the Federal Reserve. Janet Yellen was gone. She was replaced by the first non-Jew in 40 years. Is that what spooked the market? I don't know. They say that there's going to be a rise in interest rates. That's what spooked the market. What rise in interest rates? We're talking about a quarter-point raise, maybe? Maybe there'd be 3/4-point raises in 2018? That spooked the market? That's nonsense. What more than likely happened is that somebody did get spooked, and share prices went down, and probably a hedge fund or some huge bank or some bigger concern, they bet long on something or they bet short on something, and the market went down, went in the opposite direction. They had to liquidate to cover their loss. And that's what happened. That caused sort of a continuation or a continuation of these losses and short selling, just to cover people's position. That's more than likely what happened. And that's just not me saying that, but so other people have saying that as well. That's what it looked like. And they were saying, if you looked at the VIX, which is an instrument that measures volatility or risk or fear, they call it the fear indicator, that this thing may indicate that people bet against it or bet whatever, however they bet, they basically had to liquidate their other investments because they probably had bought stuff on margin, which means on credit, and they had margin calls, so they had to sell good stocks. Because did anything change for Apple? Apple's bringing back $350 billion with a B to the United States to invest in the United States. Did anything happen to Apple that it would cause it to drop by 3.5%, 4%? Nothing happened. It's back up, baby. It's back up 4%. Okay? So nothing happened. Did anything happen that affect AT&T? You know what I'm saying? Last week, did anything happen? Are people not going to buy iPhones and use AT&T? Did anything happen to oil? Oil prices went down a little bit, right? They had broken $60 a barrel. They're down a little bit. But what did that do? Oil went from like the 40s to just past 60, and that caused American oil producers to crank up their production, right? To meet, well, number one, to cash in on the higher price, but number two, to cash in to get, the reason why the price has gone up is because it's been a cold winter. So much for global warming. It's been a cold winter, and people are burning oil to heat their houses, right? And using gasoline, natural gas to heat their houses. So demand is up. Demand is up, meaning prices went up, and oil producers, especially in the United States, able to crank up an additional over 400,000 barrels per day. American producers are able to crank out. That's as much as one of the smaller OPEC members. Okay, think about it. America is, as of 2015, has become the world's largest producer of energy. We're talking about oil, natural gas, and not even talking about coal, but just oil and natural gas became the largest producer. Okay, that's amazing. Who would have thunk it? And it had nothing to do with any government policies. In fact, Obama's policies were against it. Trump's policies are promoting it. Okay, coal as well now. Bringing back coal, right? There should be a balance. Coal is still cheaper than oil. And we have 200 or 1,000 years supply of coal. And for generating electricity, clean coal, baby. Just filter the exhaust. Okay, burn that stuff completely. And all you have coming out the stack is CO2, which is a food source for green things. Helps green things grow. Did you know that? Carbon dioxide is a food source for plants. And animals eat plants. So do you want to kill the animals by killing the green stuff? By killing CO2? No, you don't. So anyhow, I digress. That'll be another Weather Channel update. So that's what's up, baby. That's what's up. Every time they say the market's going to crash, it turns right around. So what I'm saying is stay positive, stay in the market, I mean, you can't just buy and hold necessarily. Some companies you kind of can buy and hold. I mean, I've got companies they're 25 years old in my account, and I'm just playing with the house's money, and they're paying dividends every quarter. So that's a fantastic feeling. That's a fantastic feeling, right? To have that independence. Okay, to have that independence, to know that you have a source of revenue, a source of income that's totally independent from your boss or from YouTube or from any other a-hole out there who can try to take you out. Okay, and seek financial advice from knowledgeable people who can help you, can steer you in the right way to structure your investments. Okay, it shouldn't cost a lot of money, and there's a lot of stuff that you can just read and research yourself and do this yourself. DIY, do it yourself. Okay, you don't necessarily need any kind of financial people, especially when you're just starting out. Just start small, baby step it. And I'm just saying, the market is strong. Did anything happen to America last week that would make you think that the market should collapse? Right? I mean, unemployment is at the lowest point like in forever. Economic output is going up. Revenues are going up. The consumer sentiment is strong. Excuse me. So nothing really happened, right? There's nothing happened that would really make you say, "Wow, something's happening. We got to sell." So hopefully you stayed strong, stayed confident, and bought the dip, because that's the only thing you can do. Okay, it's the only thing you can do in these situations. Now, I know there's people out there, and not just people on YouTube, but people on Twitter who are totally, think they're so freaking smart because they got, for instance, I don't want to mention any names, but you probably know who I'm talking about. This particular person supposedly got a multi-million-dollar settlement from his wife when he divorced her. Now, he claims that he helped build her business up from $1 million to a multi-million dollars, and he deserved it. But call it palimony, call it alimony. It's the only guy I know who actually made money from a divorce, because every other guy I know lost money. So I'm not saying the guy's stupid. Obviously, the guy was smart enough to take the money, somehow get the money. But he believes that the stock market is a Ponzi scheme. He doesn't do any investment in that. Supposedly, he bought some Bitcoin. Good luck with that. I'm not opposed to buying Bitcoin. My strategy was to buy the coin at $1,200. Not to mine it, because I was mining it. I had a small investment in mining, and it was like, you're never going to make any money. Okay? Because it was just the investment that you required, you would just never make any money. The break-even point was so far out there that it was better just to buy a coin. Okay? And that was when it was $1,200. So that was my advice to people back then. It is not anymore, because Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. You say the value is in producing it, the electricity. What does this electricity do? Do people know what the Bitcoin miners are actually doing? A Bitcoin miner is simply keeping a ledger. You're like a bookkeeper. You're keeping a ledger of all these transactions, and you're putting them in the blockchain. That's what the mining is. Okay, now I always thought that the mining was you're solving some freaking problem, like SETI, search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Like you're solving some kind of problem for SETI, and when you process so many signals, you get some Bitcoin or something that makes sense, right? But it's not like that. What it is you're just processing all of the transactions that are coming through. So you are doing some work, but you're basically like an accountant. Your computer is hashing all of these transactions, putting them into blockchain, and when they come up with a hash that's a certain value, it gets accepted by the other miners or major miners, and then it becomes part of the blockchain. That's all it is, baby. That's all it is. That's all it is. So that's why I say, what is the value in that? I mean, it's like you're making work to cover your work, to create something that really has no value. You know what I mean? You're making up work to give something a value. But really, it's like something from nothing. It truly is something from nothing. Now, the same argument has been said about the Federal Reserve, especially when they monetized the debt under Obama, with the QE Infinity program, when the Federal Reserve was buying Treasury bonds. Then they switched over to corporate bonds, and approximately $4 trillion is owned by the Fed. Now, all Trump has to do is, any president can do it, just say, look, you're the Federal Reserve. You're quasi-government. We're not going to pay you back. That's it. That's it. You right there. There's another probably $3 or $4 trillion owned by the Social Security Trust Fund, and local states have invested buying T-bills. So right there is almost half the $20 trillion is basically owned by other government entities. So you could easily eliminate half the debt right there. Right there. I'm just saying, that's so, whatever. Like that's a bigger question that can be answered in other arenas. But I want to just point to the fact that some people are saying that the dollar is a fiat currency that's backed by nothing, and that the petrodollar is what's behind the U.S. dollar. Okay, that's wrong. You got it all wrong. It's not just the petrodollar. Okay, the fact that Saudi Arabia has agreed to price its oil in dollars, maybe back in 1970s or late 60s when they agreed to that in exchange for the U.S. to protect the Saudi kingdom. Maybe that was important back then when Saudi was the #1 producer of oil. But as I've already explained, the United States is the #1 producer of energy worldwide. Okay, oil and gas and coal. The U.S. is the #1 producer, and we're actually exporting. We're actually exporting LNG, liquefied natural gas. We're actually exporting refined products, which is gasoline and refined products. That means it's not just crude oil, but it's been refined. But also now crude oil. The United States is exporting all of these products. Okay. So, oil, gasoline, oil will always be priced in U.S. dollars as long as the United States is one of the top producers of oil. It's going to be. That's just by definition. Okay? Well, that's not all, folks. What about food? Did you know that the United States is the largest exporter of food? All that food. We're talking about wheat. We're talking about corn. We're talking about soybeans. It's all priced in U.S. dollars. So do you think, you know what I mean? If you want to buy food, if you want to eat, you're going to pay for the food in U.S. dollars. And the commodity market for food is actually bigger than oil. Look it up. Look it up, okay? In terms of what the commodity market for food is much bigger. People eat, everybody has to eat. Not everybody has to have oil, okay? So look it up. Google it. The value of the commodities food market versus oil. In food, I'm talking about pork bellies as well. Okay, food, all kinds of food, all food is much bigger than the commodities for oil. Now, that's not all, folks. That's not all. You like your nice cotton shirts? You like your nice cotton underwear? 80% of the world's cotton is produced where? USA, baby, made in America. Hashtag Make America Great Again. All right, 80% of the cotton comes from the United States. So if you want to wear clothes, you're going to buy American cotton. You're going to pay for American cotton in U.S. dollars. So is the petrodollar really that important when we're talking about food as a larger commodity than oil being priced in U.S. dollars, and cotton, 80% of the world's cotton comes from the United States? So even China wants to, forget about if they buy T-bills or not. Who cares? They still got to buy cotton, okay, in U.S. dollars, okay? So one way or the other, we're going to get our money back from China, okay? So, I mean, people try to oversimplify it by saying that it's the petrodollar. That's why we invaded Iraq. That's why we invaded Libya. No, Libya was a heist. They stole probably 120 tons of Libyan gold. Where's the Libyan gold? Can anybody tell me where the Libyan gold is? Because the gold that Gaddafi had to back his gold-backed dinar is gone. Where's the gold? That's what that was. That was a heist. It was a heist. And it was also a way to get Libyan weapons ferried over to Syrian, so-called Syrian rebels to take down Assad. And that didn't work out. Okay, we had Benghazi, and thankfully, Assad, and I hate to say it, but the Iranians and Russia helped stabilize Syria. I hate to say that because, well, in this case, this one case, Iran actually was a good actor in terms of stopping this civil war, this fake-ass civil war that was produced by the Obama administration and spearheaded by Hillary Clinton, Hillary Rotten Clinton, who famously said, "We came, we saw, he died," talking about Gaddafi. I mean, this guy was one of the really the best. You hate to say it, but he was one of the best leaders in Africa. His country was safe. His country was relatively clean, relatively prosperous. The oil money was going to help his people. And if you look at any of the videos of the major cities, they were pretty decent. For on the coast you have a little bit of green. The rest of Libya is desert. But they discovered billions of gallons of water deep in the desert, and Gaddafi's latest plan was they built pipelines. I know Polish and French companies were involved in building pipelines to bring that water from deep in the desert to the coastal area so that the people would have fresh water. I mean, you have to argue that he was doing good. You might say he was weird. He was, the plastic surgery, the Ukrainian so-called nurses that were his bodyguards. I mean, it was some weird shit, okay? But aside from that, the guy, aside from Lockerbie 9/11, or the Lockerbie 103, I think it was, that the Libyans took down and crashed over Scotland. Okay, it was Pan Am Lockerbie Flight 103, I think it was, that supposedly the Libyans blew up, terrorist attack. Now, I believe that was the Libyans. Okay, there is still some controversy whether it really was the Libyans or not. Anyways, Gaddafi did pay, I don't know, something around $1 billion to settle that to the victims of the Lockerbie disaster, and that was settled. And after we invaded Iraq, Gaddafi did give up his nuclear weapons program, his weapons of mass destruction program. Okay, so he did give that up. And like I said, for all intents and purposes, he was a pretty decent guy. Seemed within that zone, okay, and he was keeping migrants from leaving Africa and coming into Southern Europe, Italy, and Spain. So we can say, at least on those issues, he was a good dude. Okay, so this whole thing about him pricing his oil in gold dinars, who the hell cares? Or that you had to buy gold, you would have to buy his oil in gold, or whatever the case may be. You still would have to buy the gold in dollars. Okay, you still have to buy the gold. The gold is priced in U.S. dollars. All right, so whatever. I mean, it was a looting operation. Where is the gold? That's what I'm saying. Where is the gold? That's what you have to ask yourself. Follow the money. All right. So anyhow, to recap and to finalize everything, in conclusion, the market is back up, babies. If you stay strong and stay just calm, panicking is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy either. So it's about being aware, being a little bit nimble, educating yourself, following the market, following the trends as best as you can, and investing in good companies, strong companies that won't be affected, right, by this nothing burger that happened last week. Well, what happened really? Nothing. Nothing happened. There was no war. There was no nuclear bomb going off. There was no, mass outrage or mass hysteria, climate change, or whatever you want to, there was nothing. So, yeah, you want to invest in companies that aren't going to be affected by, as best you can, right? As best you can. You can't control everything. Things are cyclical, as I said. Some companies are going to go up when some industries or sectors are going to go up when others go down, and vice versa. That's just the nature of the beast. But that's why you want to diversify. And hopefully the companies that you invest in are paying a dividend, so at least you're getting paid to wait. Right? Oil companies, tobacco companies, usually not high-tech companies. Apple is paying a small dividend. Some tech companies are paying a small dividend. But most of the time, the tech companies claim that they are reinvesting the dividends into the company because they're such fast growers. But obviously, Apple is so big that it can and it should and it is paying a dividend. And I believe that out of this $350 billion that they're bringing in, they're going to raise the dividend. Apple right now is trading around $162 a share. The dividend is like 1.3, I think 1.2 or 1.3%. I know when they started out paying a 1% dividend. And that was when the price of Apple was much lower. Right? So definitely they've been raising the dividend. And I believe they're going to continue to raise the dividend. That's just one example. But, if you're a young person out there, you have time. So even if a tech company doesn't pay a dividend, but you can see where this company is going, you can invest in that company a little bit, right? Not all your eggs in one basket, but some small part, right? And hopefully it's going to grow, it's going to double, it's going to triple, it's going to quadruple, and eventually it'll pay dividends. Or maybe somebody will buy the company, some other big company will buy the company, and then you're going to get a big payday on that, right? It's all good. It's all good. It's not to say that, someone will probably say it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Okay? That's what people are saying. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Now, do I believe that? I don't believe that the question will come up in my lifetime. Why do I say that? Because things are, on average, going good for most people, for most places. Now, I'm not talking about Sweden with the refugee crisis. I'm not talking about Germany with the refugee crisis. I'm not talking about Belgium with their refugee crisis. There are some fundamental problems in some of these other countries, okay? But action, reaction. People who are so negative think that, look, the demographics say that by 2050, Germany's going to be Muslim. Okay, that's if nothing changes. But action, reaction. I say that with a twinkle in my eye because we know the Germans reacted after the Treaty of Versailles. We know how what happened there. That was the final solution for another peoples. So, is it possible? And I'm not excited about that. I'm hoping that there can be a peaceful resolution. That is to say, look, you've been in Germany for a couple of years. You don't have a job. Syria is safe now. Or wherever you're from, time to go home. Peacefully. Now, if they go home peacefully, those that are not working, everything's cool. If they don't go home peacefully, and they continue to cause problems in these countries, action, reaction. That's just history. That's just history talking. That's just not me talking. I'm not even predicting anything. It's not even a conditional statement. I'm just saying that's what will happen. And you can see the rise in populist, so-called center-right or right-wing movements in reaction to the action of this invasion of non-European, low IQ, non-educated, non-linguistically trained in their own language peoples who basically aren't able to find jobs, aren't able to work in these high-tech Western societies, in these high-tech Western countries. So those are the people who are going to have to go back. They certainly are smart enough to stack bricks. I'm pretty sure they can help rebuild. Most of these cities have been destroyed, leveled. That's going to require thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, workers, to rebuild, like Aleppo. Total destruction of the city. Parts of Iraq, total destruction of these cities. They need to be repaired, need to be rebuilt. And there's going to be jobs there. And there probably will be UN money or whatever money to do the rebuilding. So anyhow, I don't believe it's going to happen in my lifetime. There's been so many predictions that have not happened. For instance, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, remember him? he said that by now, stock market would have crashed because all of these people, the baby boomers who are retiring, that by age 70, they are required to withdraw a minimum of 3% from their 401ks or their retirement funds, or they get penalized. And he believed that the fact that they would be pulling out this 3%, because 10,000, was it 10,000 per day are retiring? Hard to believe, 10,000 senior citizens per day. But whatever. He believed that that would cause the stock market to crash. I mean, I guess what he didn't envision is that more people would be working, and that more people would maybe be investing, or that maybe bank deposits would pay nothing, so therefore more people would put money in the stock market to try to capture that dividend. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's obviously some things that he couldn't have predicted, but what I'm saying is that his theory, it didn't happen. Here it is, 2018, February 12th, 2018. And the stock market has just gone up, 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 up. And I'm saying, so if you would have listened to this asshole, excuse me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kawasaki, had some good advice, but I'm saying he is an asshole because he fucked up. Excuse my language. I've been pretty good so far. It's, what is it, 36 minutes into this. That's my first bad word, right? I'm sorry. But Doom, Boom, Boom, and Gloom guy has always been effed up. And Peter Schiff has been, okay, maybe he thinks he got lucky with the housing crisis because he bet against somebody and he made some money. Great, great. You know, you're only as good as your last victory. But you've been wrong for the last 15 years, baby. And if you would have listened to him and pulled all your stuff out, you would have missed this incredible, incredible rally, which could have put your kids through college, which could have bought you a house, which could have bought you a new car, which could have put you in a financial independent situation. And those people who are against it, who don't understand the market, who don't understand how the market works, certainly you can lose everything. Yeah, but don't be that guy, okay? Don't be that guy. All right, this is Holy Joe Rock and Roll. I've been coming at you live and definitely unscripted, as you can see here. 37 minutes. We'll be doing this again, baby. Broadcasting live, simulcasting, baby. YouTube and Periscope. This is freaking incredible, man. This is just the beginning, baby. I got fiber to the curve, baby. Fiber to the curve. So we're going to be pushing out programs as often as possible. As long as you're listening, as long as you're watching, we're going to be pushing these programs out as long as possible. As much as possible. And I wanted to check something right quick. I don't know if I'll be able to do this before I sign off. Please bear with me. You know, this whole time, I was not able to launch. Because, you know, this stuff is all seat of the pants, baby. This stuff is all seat of the pants. Normally from this program, I can fire up the live broadcast screen. But I don't see that as an option anymore. So I'm just going to see what's going on over here. Okay, I see that. Can I see that. Hang on. Got a different window over here. Right. I see that I'm live. People are watching. Live stream. This is the studio part. Come on. What's going on? Okay. A little bit slow. Fiber to the curb, but it's a little bit slow. Got it. Top chat. All right. All right, Texas Rancher. Okay. So there was a little bit of chat activity. That's what I wanted to see. Whoa. I'm still supposedly broadcasting. I don't know what's going on here. Stream health is going down. Anyway, folks, thank you for being with me. Thank you for staying with me. This is Holy Joe Rock and Roll. I've been coming at you live and definitely unscripted. And I want to remind you to always make it happen for the captain, because you're the captain. Peace out.
Roll. It's Holy Joe Rock and Roll. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of